You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
We're back. It's the Horns Up Talking Texas podcast. Joshua Fisher, Alexander Tosny Rock Desopoulos, DJ Nikki Snacks, Kreider with his shades on, and he's back in the mix, the Quan Cosby. So get your horns up, cuz here we go.
What's up, gentlemen?
Hey, Quan, baby. Welcome back, brother. Yeah, you know what? I've been doing the intro without you on the show, and it just, I don't know what it was in my mind. It just sounded so wonky. And then now that you're here, so plain Jane. And now that you're here with us, Nick's got his sunglasses. Nick's been wearing sunglasses inside. This is our second.
Good, man.
We got the bright lights hitting us right here, so I need to be protected at all angles.
Yeah. So basically,
by the way, the new setup is pretty damn nice, gents.
Thank you. Wait till you. So for everyone listening, audio wise, me, Nick, and Toss are moved into our new studio in Manhattan Beach. It's a little bare bones. We don't have the wallpaper up yet, which is going to be brick or dark wood, something of that nature. But we've been recording our TV show, and now we're at Horns Up with Quan, and Nick has been wearing his shades inside, honestly, for the last maybe 2 hours.
It's my thing, you know. When I DJ, I have my shades on.
You and my boy T.O. would get along well. That fool wears shades at night and everything else.
Tell me why your boy T.O. was on the Bama sideline during the Bama-Texas game.
Because he grew up in Bama.
Okay.
Fair answer.
Yeah, he went to Tennessee, Chattanooga, but he grew up in that area, and I knew he was going to. So when we played LSU, he had on a Texas
yeah, I remember that
pullover. But then when I saw that, I was like, you little. I didn't talk to him the next week. I was still mad, but no, he's good people.
Are you tight with him from your days in Cincinnati?
Yeah, man. Okay. He was it's funny. Talk about a lot of things we do and people we talk about, and CO gets this reputation of just being a tough dude and all that. Man, that dude was one of the best teammates I've ever had. And again, we still keep in touch. We played one season together.
Really?
We still keep in touch. If he's in Austin, he lets me know. If I'm in LA, I let him know. He was thinking about moving to Florida at one point to be near his daughter, all that good stuff. So one of the coolest dudes and just good people, and still work out way too much for my liking. But,
do you see him run on the track? That dude is he can still play.
He's physically 100%. It's a different beast when you have somebody trying to stop you and all that.
Sure.
Of course, he would argue I'm full of caca and he's a goat, but he's it's tougher out there. But physically, it looks like he can play. Like, I mean, he looks better with his shirt off than Brady, and Brady's doing it pretty good, but different positions.
I mean, he looks like he's full Photoshop mode with his shirt off. And Quan, I'll let you marinate on this. You don't have to give us the response just yet. Maybe at the end of the show or next show we do, you could even have a little more time to think on it, because we debate the best receivers, we've seen, the best of all time, the best right now. But Nick's played as a walk-on the team. I played on the beach, and Toss also was a beach receiver. But you, my friend, are the only one amongst the four of us that did it in the big show. So keep that in the back of your mind. We'll hit you later in the show, or maybe next week. Best 5 receivers you've ever seen. Not even college, maybe separately to the NFL. So you really have time to marinate. And while you're marinating on that, let it stew. A little jambalaya. We're not playing LSU this week. We're playing West Virginia. I don't know what they eat over there. I don't know what
I feel like Mountaineer chili.
Really?
Yeah, they got some chili. So I've been up there several times when I used to do my sideline gig, and they eat it all, man. A lot of beef,
Squirrel.
Like us. They love their steaks. It's not so much about what they eat. They like some chili.
Yeah,
and they like all of that. They're not too far from the Pittsburghs and Ohio's that has skyline and all this crazy stuff. So they try to compete on that. But it's about the drinking over there.
Oh yeah,
food comes second.
Youngling, right? Or what's the beer they have there? Is it beer?
Well, they do have Yingling too.
Yingling.
Yeah, Yingling's one of them. We actually finally got that on this side, but it's about liquor though. They love some bourbon. Not even like Kentucky bourbon is legit, and they don't really give two bleeps about that. They just get whatever
gets them there, really, honestly.
Because think about this, what they're also very well known for, and one of the times I went, Craig was worried because I took a shot of moonshine, but that's like a real thing there, and they make it
the hooch.
I once drank a jar of moonshine. Illegal. Is it legal? What is the legality before we start talking? Because I know you didn't want to talk football, Quan.
It's very illegal.
Moonshine is illegal?
Well, I think there's like there's true moonshine, right? And then there's moonshine that's probably legal. That's not like 100% moonshine, right? It's like 10%
right. So they
moonshine.
sell some of it.
Yeah.
They sell some of it in liquor stores, and it's
right.
watered down. And then there's the stuff that they're drinking at those tailgates.
Right, the limitless version of moonshine. That's 100%.
Isn't there an iced tea brand called Moonshine?
No,
I think there is.
I think you should.
There's a really nice restaurant in Austin called Moonshine.
There is. Hey, next time we're all together in Austin, we should go there. It's one of my favorite spots.
Great brunch.
We used to go there. We used to go there with our moms on Mom's Weekend. Shout out to our buddy T Mac, whose family has moonshine at his house. I've always wanted to implicate somebody on our podcast.
You just flat out gave me a no as I'm looking up moonshine iced tea right now. You just definitively no, there's not.
I'm not okay. Well, I'm not a moonshine tea expert. I'm a Texas Longhorn football expert. So let's get into it, gentlemen. Before we get into the West Virginia game, what are your feelings so far in the season? Obviously, last week we let it slip through our fingers. Maybe from your perspective, real quick, how much Bijan's walking around campus with the football? Is that too far? Should all the pressure be on him? He did fumble an OT, but the defense let the Raiders back in the game. So how are your feelings coming off from the Bama game into the UTSA win, which was nice, the Texas Tech loss, which was we blew that one, but they could be good, and into the West Virginia game, a must win?
I think Tech's, I'll go back to, was that Dennis Green? They are who we think they are. And this is the truth. We didn't really know. We got a pretty new coaching staff. That's their first trip to Lubbock. They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. That place is bat crazy. Yeah. And they're going to play us insanely hard in that place. And not to make excuses, but we are playing essentially our backup quarterback. Our backup quarterback played pretty damn good and got us a nice lead. But saying all that, we lost our number one receiver. The thing to me is I'm still a little bit nervous because I think that's now 5 or 6 blown second half leads. And, first time, it just happened. Second time, coincidence. Now it's becoming cultural.
The trend.
And how do we get past that? In golf or in baseball, it's the yips. I can't do that. I have such a mental block. I can't get past that and do it better. And I think I'm a little worried that our leadership, and I'm not talking about even coaches. Coaches call plays all the time. Players make coaches' plays look better when you execute them. And our leadership and our players, how are they just going to get over that hump? Because it happened a little bit before Sark even got here. It happened big time last year. I think we've lost 5 or 6 games that we won at halftime. As much as people bash Herman, I think he only had 4 in 4 years.
Right. And this is a different team, right? The personnel that we're rolling out is completely different than it was last year. A lot of the players who are starters are not the same. Of course, there are some guys that are, but it's a cultural thing. Like you're saying, like it's deeper than just who's out on the field, who's making those plays or the lack thereof.
There's certain things that'll keep me up at night, honestly. And that's that the Red Raider is going 6 of 8, 75% on 4. I didn't mean to make you sick, Quan, but 6 of
I'm right there with you. Listen, coaches, I get it. But I go back to, I think I've referenced this before, when I got the penalty after diving in the end zone in the Fiesta Bowl, bull crap penalty, but I got it. Arakpo and Roy Miller came to me and said, Q, that's bull crap. They didn't use that correct word. That's our parents' word. They said other stuff. They said, but we have your back. So Muschamp didn't call some twist or some turn or some, insane defense to make them get a half sack. But they said, no, man, that's bull crap. We're going to win this game. We got your back. Totally. The very next play, they get the penalty. They return it to just about the 40, maybe a little bit inside. Roy Miller and Arakpo got the sack. The play after that, they threw it deep. Earl Thomas knocked it down at about the 4-yard line. Those little things about football, that 6-7 yards they lost on that sack, even if they would have caught it, got tackled at the 1-yard line, that matters to winning football. Right. And so, yes, is it scheme? Is it PK? Which maybe the same PK freaking shut their butts down in the first half. And so I just feel like the psychological aspect of where these cats are, they really need to get past it, make a few plays, get on that next level. But again, going back to it, effort on defense is that if you're D line, you got some pressures, 40 plus pressures. Why are you not landing these sacks?
Yeah.
It was so obvious though that they were just gassed at the end of the day. I mean, you can see that they ran so many plays compared to us. They ran
I think
over
about
100.
106 plays.
Yeah, they ran over 100 plays, I think, to our like 60. And when you're on the defensive side of the ball, obviously the goal is always 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, right? And stopping them on third down. And we stopped them on third down, 17, 18 times, and they just chose to go for an extra down. And when you keep on getting those extra plays, it's just so mentally draining, right?
I agree.
Wears
but
you down.
From my standpoint, we stopped them on third down. And I think on one hand, instead of the guys saying, F this, we're getting off the field now, you're going to disrespect, take that as disrespect. Instead, these guys like, oh, they're going for it again. And that's why they get it every time.
Well, there's also the element of this is college football. This is not the NFL, right? Like teams go for it on fourth down on their own 30 all the time. You can't go in as a defensive player with the expectation that you're going to be on the field for 3 downs and you do your job and then you're off, because that's not how it works in college football.
Right.
Special teams are so much worse.
And the coaches have to be telling them that. And maybe they are. I'm just what like the normal idea of what you have as a defensive football player is completely different, especially in a massive rivalry game like that, where it was clear that they were going for it so much on fourth down because from a talent standpoint, they were rolling out their backup quarterback too, right? They were relying on their backup quarterback as well.
Yeah.
We beat them from, if you just look at both of the teams, talent to talent. And so it's the same thing that we saw in the UTSA game when they whip out the onside kick, and we're like, we know why they're onside kicking,
right?
Because they're trying to take advantage.
They have
of
nothing
us.
to lose. They're
Right.
like, we're going to play it this way. We're going to play it. And they're going to see, Texas is going to see a little bit more of it because we do have better talent this year.
100%. Look,
that's not the last team that's going to do that to us either.
No, you bet. Why would they be? Like, first of all, there's a couple things of like, once everybody saw that we were a minute away from beating Alabama with pretty much with Hudson Card the entire game, that was further notice. Okay, these guys are for real. They think they're now, don't stink, which is probably the case. And this could be the last game Texas plays in Lubbock. They were coming for BLOOD.
Yes, and those are the storylines that
maybe.
How do we not know that as a team?
Right?
That's how they're thinking. They hate us more than they like themselves anyway. It could be the last game. Why didn't we have that sense of urgency?
I love that.
That like they did. That's exactly right. Why are we not matching their level of intensity? And those are the inconsistent things that's driving me crazy from a player standpoint. Listen, you're the one getting hit in the mouth. You're the one getting this and doing that. So hit them back. Do something different. So that's the frustrating piece of it.
Okay. So other than never using the Wildcat again, because if I see that one more time, I'm going to punt the TV. What are some adjustments?
Yeah, that's true. It
doesn't work. You can't sell me on it.
Well, it can't work. We talked about this, Quan, on the show.
Well, they know exactly what's coming every time.
It can't work when you've never attempted a pass out of it. Like when they know that you're just going to run it, and you've got a guy who can,
and the guy just didn't throw it.
He can throw it though. That's the thing, is like, let him throw at least one. Keep him honest.
No, but what I'm saying, what if they called that play and he was supposed to? Because I'm just saying, I in my head, I'm like, no way Sark continue to call that back to back to back to back. But there certainly is a way he called a play and the receiver or the running back chose to run it and not actually execute the play.
I'd imagine I would imagine there's a breakdown for Roshan within the play call. Okay, I would assume, which I don't know because it never happened. Option 1 is to get the ball to 5. I would assume option 2 is to pull it and take it yourself up the middle, which was done every time. I would assume option 3, if neither thing, or if they really bite on the run and you see one of the receivers open, take a shot. But we were never even
that's like
that point.
You're 4th and 2 though.
It was 4th
and it's
down.
like you're asking a guy who's not taking most of the reps at quarterback to make at least 2 reads, right? And it wasn't a read option. Essentially what it turned into each time was an HB direct with a lead blocker. Like that's
right.
Which is
and if I'm
know
doing
exactly
that,
what's coming as a defender there.
I love Rowe, but Rowe, you need to be the lead blocker, and Bijan
Right.
Robinson need to have the ball in his hand. Like,
Right.
Yep.
if you're going to run a play like that. So those situations are just super frustrating and whoosah. But yeah, no, man, I only say that to say it's really hard for me to swallow
Sure.
Sark calling the same play 3 times in a row.
That's not him, you know?
Huh?
That's not his style. Like,
That's
he doesn't
not his
do that.
deal. And so I don't know, maybe players saw something differently. If you give them options, what they take is not always the right one. So I that one fortunately didn't keep me up at night, because I was like, I'm not going to believe that he did that in that moment. And
Well, he's
so,
called a good season thus far. I'll say that for sure. Assuming we're running out one again, we're at home. It's a nighttime game finally, under the lights, which is great. We're at home, nighttime game in conference, must win. Look, forget the playoff. Glad that monkey's off her back. Big 12 must be in sight. You win this game at home, which you are a 9.5 point favorite. It's a big favorite. And head into Oklahoma, who's vulnerable because they lost at home to K-State. The game they should have
we talked about it earlier in the season. K-State
Ain't no slouch.
Manhattan. We ain't gonna get ahead of ourselves, but I'm nervous.
You could thank you. I'm glad
They have one of the
are.
best playmakers in college football on this team.
If not the best out of the backfield. So what adjustments, Q? We'll start with you. What are you looking to see from this team? Obviously a mental bounce back, but maybe something on the field that you want to see go down from the offensive side.
You know, injuries are a part of football. And that just kind of happens. But getting back out there with your peeps, getting back out there with your ones, I think that in itself, like I said, I think Hudson played a pretty freaking good game. But there's a level of having yours. We've talked, you don't wear a mullet if you give 2 bleeps. I mean, and that dude he raises the level on both sides, just seeing him out there doing this thing. I mean, it goes back, nobody's saying yours is events, but the defense, when we played, would be like, all right, come on, let's get this right. So we want to go see what this guy's about to do. We're going to see what our offense is about to do. Yours has that kind of team lifting abilities about him. And you can see it when you watch. It's just a very different vibe. So hopefully if he's back out there, if Worthy's back out there, you have your full crew back at home at night, that has to help. Yeah. But that's it. And we started out on fire on every freaking thing. So if I'm being honest, do that, have that script, get a lead. But I want to see us score 3-4 touchdowns in the second half. I really do. I want to see us not run out of gas.
Well, and this is a team that obviously JT Daniels is their QB, who has played Texas before and lost, but
in Austin.
In Austin. So chip on his shoulder, right? Don't forget that he's going to come at you hard. And then they've got a stable of running backs. They got 3 running backs that all can play. They're leading time of possession against their opponents by 7 minutes average for the 4 games that they've played. They're 2-2, of course. So they've lost 2 games. They're very beatable. Where I think, Nick, you said like a 9-point favorites. Is that right?
Yeah, we're 9.5 point favorites.
But they're going to try and run the football on us and hold on to the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, CJ Donaldson's good.
And he's big. 6'2", 240.
And
he's a big boy.
He's a freshman.
He's a freshman.
Well, I mean, you know what, though?
Can we see the birth certificate on the 6'2", 230 freshman?
That's a grown ass man. You know the difference though is what our kryptonite. I actually think we've done a decent job versus the run. We haven't done a decent job on off scripted runs. Our last 3 weeks, we've played some pretty damn good mobile quarterbacks. Starting with Young, old boy from UTSA, and then last week. The beauty that I think could be a positive for us is Daniels is not.
No, he's a pocket passer.
So ultimately, when that's not a threat, you can game plan for those running backs, right? And trust the back end. And so hopefully, at least eliminating one of those threats from the quarterback's piece of it. Those are the guys we've been missing tackles on. We've actually tackled very good versus running backs, tight ends, receivers. It's been the quarterbacks we've been missing tackles on.
But finishing, not just if you're a defensive lineman or an edge rusher, not just beating the guy in front of you, but finishing the play I think is going to be really paramount for our guys, because it's not that they can't win those one-on-one matchups. But you got to get to the quarterback. You got to get him within the grips and
Man, there were
finish the play.
so many times we were watching that game last week and our guys are in the backfield and we're screaming at the TV, get him, get him, get him, get him. They had 44 pressures last week, the most in college football, and they came away with 1 sack.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it. I mean, it's crazy because we've seen Watts make big plays on the outside from a hitting standpoint, and the inaudible people have been. I mean, just the eye test people at the bar being like, "Oh, who's number 6?" Taking a shot over there. Yet he was the one that missed the tackle that would have won us the Bama game. It's just for some odd reason we need to wrap up in the backfield and get some, not even sacks, yes, but some tackles for a loss.
I saw a tweet in response to Bijan Robinson carrying the football around campus, and it was saying something like, his teammates have tried to jar it out and a couple of students have tried to jar out. And someone said, are they also letting the defense wrap up students on campus?
No, I mean, so you mentioned earlier, is that too much? Yeah, it is. I think we're way past that. The program was a phenomenal movie, by the way, but I see it as a humility thing. I see it as Bijan owning it, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think any of us are worried about Bijan coughing up too many balls. I mean, that's unfortunately, and if we really be honest, that I fumbled once, I think, in 4 years, and very similar to that, the guy put his helmet right there. And fortunately, mine wasn't recovered. No, I fumbled twice, actually. One against A&M, one against Nebraska. And the one against Nebraska, Casey Stutter jumped on, and one against A&M, I knocked it out of bounds. So both of those times, why my fingers are all crooked, that helmet went straight to him, and they made a good play. And I think the Tech guy did the exact same thing. But to their point, we have no doubt Bijan's that dude.
Mm-hmm.
We have no doubt Xavier Worthy is that dude. Yours is putting, his name in that. Roshan's put so many guys, even Keelan for that matter. My problem is we got Demo on the defense, who's pretty freaking good and steady. He's had a good start to this season. Sure. Bull crap calls on the targeting. But to your point about the DBs, whether it's a blitz, whether it's the 50-50 ball, my other issue, and they were on the field a lot, which could be changed if you get off the field on 4th down. You don't run as many plays when you actually have a turnover on downs. But who is that dude on the back end? And we've had Murphy, we've had some dudes at D-line show sparks. But I think in the second half, the adjustments that have been made on offenses has been bigger than the plays that have been made on our defense.
Well, I think Deshaun's that guy. I just think that you have to get a true.
Jameson?
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
I mean, he's the one that if you're looking for a guy to make a big play.
Right. But if you're talking about a DB, like, you better get pressure on the quarterback. You better get some QB hits to allow him to make those plays, right? It's not
to a certain degree, but that offense last week and Graham Harrell's offensive coordinator this week, they get the ball out fast.
Right.
Sure.
And so, yes and no, they get the ball. Yes, I agree. You had the pressures. Because in my opinion, you had the pressures because maybe the back end was doing a good job early on. Then you get the pressure, you don't get the sack, and then the off balance, off course plays. That's how you get exposed with the 50-50 ball. So it's a lot of different moves, but I think that offense, and we're going to see a very similar version of it with Graham this week, is for the most part knowing that these guys saw, like y'all said, we saw what they did against Bama. They got some pressure on him, even sacked him a few times, and so we're going to see a little bit more dink dunk, get them tired. Crossing routes, rub routes, and somebody's going to have to make a play.
Which I think we'll benefit from. I think we'll benefit from that because if you looked at all the Texas Tech plays, that quarterback had so much time to get out of the pocket, run around, find number one because he broke coverage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why he's holding the ball on for so long because our guys had him covered for the most part, and then our D-line just couldn't get to him.
Yeah, that's my thing. I agree with you, Toss, but I think he held the ball for a while because they weren't all that open. But if you have it for 4 and 5 seconds, I mean, good Lord, Deion Sanders can't cover for that long.
Right.
Yeah, you could drive a truck through that. Pause. Speaking of dinking and dunking from the offensive side, I need the Robinson brothers, Keelan and Bijan, to get more passes. I need these guys.
No, out of the backfield.
Bijan had one
Open
catch last
space.
game.
So did Keelan, and he had a touchdown.
It was a touchdown.
What is wrong? Why can't we use
think
7?
about offense in the second half? Why don't we just redo the script that worked in the first?
Well, let me.
Instead of
I know that sounds crazy,
one
but-
touchdown, punt.
Let me ask you guys something, because obviously Sark calls the plays here. He called the plays at Bama, but you got to imagine that there's a different mindset when you're the head coach calling the plays rather than being the offensive coordinator calling the plays, right? Because it's your job. Like at Bama, it's Saban's team. You know, like if he calls the plays for Saban wrong, like he's going to get an earful. He might lose his job. But this is his team. This is Texas. He's got no one to answer to. So,
and you have
the
nothing
mindset's
else
a
to
little
even worry about when the offense is not on the field. You're not. He has to pay attention to defense now.
right.
He can't be over there game planning, talking through this and talking through strategy. He has literally 3, 4. There's 4 things you need to do on the field: offense, defense, special teams, time management. He only had to worry about one of those.
Right.
A little bit of time management, but even Saban told him that, hey, we have a minute and a half, we have 2 timeouts, let's go. So yeah,
I'm not a fan of head coaches calling the plays, which I'm trying
I was
to say.
about to say I'm starting to teeter a little bit, and just because, really more than anything, again, it's because of the second half. I think when I go back to our times, the level of because we had an offensive coordinator, the things we talked about at halftime were adjustments, were what's working, what's not working. It was specific to that. And my coach, sometimes when Coach Brown was talking, we were still talking about adjustments. So you miss 10 minutes, 15 minutes of strategic talk
Mhm.
by also being the head coach in certain scenarios.
Right.
And we're not good enough to miss that 10 or 15 minutes. It's been proven 5 or 6 times to this point in a couple of years.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if there's like any news on it, any kind of change. I don't think, obviously, because Sark is so talented from a play calling standpoint, I don't want to fully take it out of his hands, because when the offense is clicking, he's so imaginative, and like he just has so many things in his repertoire. But going back to it, like, I just don't know. Was there no adjustments? Do we flip this? Do we flip the game script when things are going right? That's just such smooth sailing. The minute things start to take a turn in any other aspect of the game, the offense seemingly seems to flutter.
Dude,
Like,
we'll go 5 series with 3 and outs and get
Terrible.
6, 7
look at the
I don't understand that.
crazy.
I cannot with the same players who were busting wide ass open in the first half. I don't, and I'm too stubborn, and I don't want to watch it on that level. I don't get paid to watch film on that level, but I don't understand why it's such a massive difference. Like, we usually had that first half script, but as every series goes on, we're making adjustments to, oh man, they're playing zone today. Well, let's think about this route. Let's think about this combination. Let's think about this. How do we do this? Oh man, they're kicking our line, but all right, let's throw a couple of bubbles. Let's throw in the screen. I don't know if I still seen like a true screen. Let's throw in a draw. Do people not wearing draws anymore? Like, it's so many with Bijan. Are you kidding me? Get that rush. He's going to make one miss. So it's just, when I nerd out thinking about the offensive piece of it, I'm just, and unfortunately, I'm so emotional about Texas Longhorn football. When this starts to happen, I get sick of my stomach and damn near don't want to watch, because I'm like, I can't watch another 3 and out.
I literally said at the bar,
what
I
is
was
going on?
like, why was this my hobby? I said that at the bar to the people around us. Like, why did I could have been a painter. I don't know if I would have been a good one, but I could have been a painter. I think the reason, like, having once we have Quinn back in the mix, not only are his intermediate and deep ball passes better than Hudson's, his ability to stretch the field horizontally, which is something we've been discussing, getting those bubble screens and getting that ball with some zip out. Like, Hudson's ball doesn't
Hudson
have
went 20 for 30 and he had like 5 drops.
His ball just lacks some zip, is my point being. From what we've seen,
It kind of gets floated out there.
Yeah.
it's a little lofty, which could be part of the reason.
I
we don't
thought
run those plays.
I'm with you, Q. I thought
I don't think he played a bad game.
he did what he needed to do for us to win the game.
We should have won that.
That's exactly where I'm
Well,
at.
we should have won that game.
I don't want any
I mean,
Texas
it's
fans
even to
making
the last
excuses.
drive when he got us in field goal range.
Right,
That
exactly.
same ball was thrown and he balled out and used his
Yeah.
legs. He's progressing and getting better. I think I think other pieces were the problem.
Well, the
Yeah.
defense was a problem.
I said it last show. Hudson is a quarterback who could have played at most schools. He
Yeah.
could have been the starting quarterback at Texas Tech. So you can't blame Hudson Card for losing that game, because if he was on Tech, we'd probably lose that game by more.
I'm not blaming him for losing the game. I'm just, going to the point of
If we had Quinn,
Well, there's
Well, I
something
guess
there's something different from an offensive play calling standpoint before the snap has even happened when Quinn is the quarterback, right? Like the anticipation and the pressure that automatically puts on a defense, and then he says hike, like he's a game changer, right? He's that good in the intermediate and the deep throws that you're talking about, Josh, but also just like his reads that he's able to make. I mean, in that Alabama game, he's making pro level reads and pro level throws. Like that's just, we know that
against
Hudson's
pros.
right against guys that are going to be playing in the bigs. Yeah, I mean, but JT Daniels is obviously a really talented quarterback, so our defensive guys need to come to play.
And I get what you're saying about that, but the problem is Hudson, Casey, we're seeing a little bit of the same thing with different personnel when it comes to giving up these second half leads.
Right.
So is it the Jimmy and the Joes? I mean, I got all these questions now that I didn't have before. But I also think psychologically, offense and defense, when our anxiety gets up, and we've said it, or we just get in this weird, it's not that we've said it all the time. They have to hate to lose. Not that they want to lose. It's that they fear losing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that gets more timid, less execution. You get slower. When stuff gets harder, it seems like that fear of losing cripples certain level of the same execution you saw playing freely in the first half.
Right. You play more careful almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little bit of it. So as much as it's a total team loss, coaches, players, all the above, but we were down by 28 and we still never feared losing. So we had that same intensity and we beat the hell out of them in the second half and won by 20, and so that's those mindsets, I think, is we're just still so far from where we need to be to get over a certain level of those humps.
But when your MO is winning and having an explosive offense and being the team that is typically feared, it's night and day versus the team or, the program. And we talked about at the top, our MO is blowing these leads.
Dude.
So when that's your MO and it starts to happen
saw
again.
what McGuire said. Oh, dude, that was piercing. I told you they will break. That is so much of what we fought against being a Longhorn. We had that freaking perception and we beat it out of people. And unfortunately, right now,
we're back to
we're
that.
proving them right.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's when that's your MO and then you start and it's the dam starts to break a little bit. Then instead of, you're going to panic because you don't want it to happen again. The thought of, oh no, not again comes in. And that's pretty much as low as you can be from a
when
fighting
they need
standpoint.
to be saying, I know, yeah, we knew y'all are going to come at us. We're Longhorns. Y'all play. It's your Super Bowl, but not today. We're about to whoop that ass some more.
Right.
And that's what we're not.
Stay in the stands. You're not storming the field today.
Oh, we just
Exactly.
need one more. We need
I
one more
love
touch.
when they would get close and think they were, and they had
I
to
honestly,
stay up there and take that L.
I saw a clip of Tony Dungy talking about when he was coaching Peyton, and he said that Peyton one time ran like a right side blast run like 12 times in a row, and he just audibled back to it 12 times in a row. And I wish, like against West Virginia, I hope we even go under center and just give the ball to Bijan 8 times in a row and just see what they can do. Because if we're
that was my point earlier. I was like, schematically and all of that, there becomes a time where Rakpo and Roy or Ship or me, and we're like, no, this is our time.
Yeah.
Hey, coach, remember that play I told you we wanted to play, coach? Let's do it now. I'm going to win. I don't care who's right there. I don't care what coverage they're in. I'm going to win. Throw me the freaking ball, coach. And we just don't really have that mindset yet.
And you can lock it in that Bijan's he's gonna rush for over 150 yards. After he fumbled, he's gonna have
he's
field
about
day.
to ball out.
He's seeing.
By the way, not to pour some salt in that wound, but that mindset I'm talking about is what we saw in Bryce Young whenever they beat us.
Yep.
Had a so-so game, but when it mattered more than anything else, corner blitz, perfect call. Nah,
the anxiety that creeps in, he's able to blind it out. Right?
Yeah,
he's able
Actually,
to block it
the
out.
anxiety that creeps in on us is adrenaline that creeps in on him.
Right.
Saying now 2 + 2 = 6 because I'm about to do that to you.
Yeah.
Versus 2 + 2 = 1.5, which is what's happening to our folks.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Bryce Young goes, okay, now is an opportunity for me to show you why I could be the #1 overall pick in a 10-year plus starter in the NFL. But I do want to acknowledge that you said that he had a so-so game, which I haven't seen you since then, Q. I did say it was going to happen with Mr. Young. And I did keep,
man. I'm telling you, I was like, hey, you did. And this is the thing. Also, to add on to that, he also is the type that looks over there and sees that anxiety and that fear in their eyes.
Yeah.
And that just makes you that much more.
He's
as
a
well
winner.
as both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
So those little things about the game that you can't see on TV or even there, it's been our issue. It's been our kryptonite, and we have an opportunity to change that Saturday night.
Let's do it. Let's change it up. Let's get that win, get back on track heading into the Red River. Q, before we go, we asked you at the top of the show, top 5 wide receivers you've ever seen in your entire life, real quick.
Golly, man, that's a tough one. You have to say, one, play with T.O. The guy was just, his numbers speak for themselves. And to be so freaking big, it was fascinating to see him put in that work, outwork everybody. And I'm not going to say in order. Of course, he went a little loco, but I'm sorry, but Antonio Brown was a monster. Dude was an absolute beast.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just that good. Larry Fitzgerald, let's be real, as good as it gets, some of the best hands on the planet.
Good dude, too.
I play with Megatron, and so I played against Megatron. So, I mean, I saw some dudes that were just freaking absolutely insane and next level. And then
Randy,
Ocho. You gotta say Randy. Well, I mean, Jerry and Randy are different, and I thought you said actually got to see.
Okay, yeah, that was great. No, yeah,
so I actually got to see. Now Jerry numbers speak for themselves too, but if I had to pick a one, and this is a T.O. might not ever answer my call again, but Randy just did things that were different.
Oh yeah.
You can't argue my 8-year-old son will catch a ball and say, I'm Moss somebody. Like that, he was game-changing different. And so Randy is a beast. He's a country bumpkin too, so that helps. But Randy and T.O., I'll put them at a tie, but and then the rest of the guys that I named.
So weird.
And those are the ones I actually got to see.
Yeah, up close and personal. So weird hearing Randy Moss talk sometimes because like he talks and he's got like a twang.
Oh
it's like,
man, he talks like
MC2.
that. He got such a certain twang, and that cat is country.
Yeah, absolutely.
He grew up in a town like Mart.
Well, speaking of country, let's go kick some country bumpkin booty this weekend against West Virginia. Joshua Fisher, Alexander Tosman, Roxopoulos, DJ, Nikki Snacks Crider, and the Quan Cosby. Let's get to 3-2, fellas. Get your horns up. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Q. Good to see you, brother.
Sir. Hey, hit that button real quick before I shoot off.
The record button.
Oh.
Yeah.